Welcome to the chapter 267 review. Guys, I gotta say, this was one of the most fun, jam-packed, hype chapters in a while, and this means a lot coming from the Shinjuku Showdown, as I think it's far and away the best arc in the series. There are things that could have been done better, in terms of like Nobara's reveal, and I think that's really it in my opinion. But as the series comes to an end, we gotta realize that really every shonen series has a hard time landing this perfect ending that everybody wants, especially for the lessons it's trying to teach. This is why I give My Hero Academia a huge slide on its ending. I'll probably make a video about that, but it was just going way too far out of its scope for a shonen series. With that said, before I get into bringing the chapter to life as I usually do with every review, I'm just gonna say I really enjoyed the chapter, and I'm really going to look at these final chapters with enjoyment and excitement first. Then I'll circle back to them in like a critique review kind of manner, super critical. And yeah, I really think I should just enjoy Jujutsu Kaisen's ending. I love this series, and I didn't like it that much when I started this channel, I'm not gonna lie. But sitting through the Sukuna cycle, kind of being forced to analyze the series weekly because you guys love that kind of content, I fell in love with it. So I'm gonna just enjoy the ride. With that said, I have one more piece of news in relation to Jujutsu Kaisen to share with you guys that's just as amazing, if not better than this chapter, especially for the gamers. Jujutsu Kaisen Phantom Parade, the first officially licensed Jujutsu Kaisen mobile game, is now going global. Yes guys, it's here, and pre-registration has been open for all players, offering exclusive items for those who register for the game's release early. In this game, we'll be assembling our own team of sorcerers and exercising curses while playing through the original story with new dialogue for the characters. However, the story this time around will be displayed through the perspective of many different characters in the series, giving us the players more moments with the cast and information on the series and its characters that can only be found in the game. Not to mention, there will also be a game original arc that takes place in between the Kyoto Sister School Exchange event arc and the Cursed Womb arc. And this original arc will include original characters such as Saki, Kaito, and Kensuke. And needless to say, the game's full of content. The game has been doing pretty great in Japan, so I can assure of its quality. If you guys have been looking for more Jujutsu Kaisen content to take with you on the go, make sure you hit the link in the description down below to pre-register for Jujutsu Kaisen Phantom Parade. And don't forget to follow the Jujutsu Kaisen Phantom Parade on SNS for latest updates. This is a mobile game that every fan shouldn't miss, as it'll be giving us more Jujutsu Kaisen content, right? There is a Phantom Parade Team Assemble event going on where you can invite friends to form a team, and you can earn up to 1100 cubes as rewards. Invite your friends to pre-register for the game, enjoy the event together. I'll definitely be playing, as you guys know I love Jujutsu Kaisen, so I hope to catch you guys in game. We start off the chapter with another flashback. Yuta, Joestar, and Gojo are having one final conversation before their battle with Sukuna. Gojo's in Yuta's body and Yuta's in Gojo's body pause. Gojo goes on to ask Yuta, "You want me to give you Sukuna's last finger?" And Yuta says, "I do. You're hiding it somewhere, aren't you? If we feed it to Rika, I can copy Sukuna's curse technique. Even if we swap bodies like this, I can't read your memories." Gojo thinks for a bit, but says, "Hard pass." Yuta says, "Could you take this a little more serious?" And Gojo's like, "I'm serious, man. Sure, that would meet the conditions of your technique, as it's a 20th of Sukuna, but if your goal is to analyze Shrine and its techniques, it will not be enough." Yuta says this is true. If I didn't have Inumaki to help me with cursed speech, there are tons of things about that technique I wouldn't have known, despite copying it. Gojo says, "I don't think it's a good idea to lose our connection to Sukuna here, and let me put this in a way Hakari would. We'll take a gamble, the fever, or something like that." And I love how Gojo finally mentions Hakari and references him again. We just don't get enough of the two. Gojo goes on to tell Yuta, like, here's what you want to do if you want to copy Sukuna's curse technique. And we move on to a scene that includes Yuta, Mei, Wee, and Yuji. And after about 130 chapters since Yuta's introduction to the main story, we're finally about to get the full explanation behind his curse technique of copy. Although it was unconditional before, obviously for him to keep the technique, it's been changed because it would have been way too broken for the story otherwise. Yuta breaks down this technique by saying, in order to copy a curse technique, I have to have Rika ingest a portion of the target's body. The required body part and amount depends on what I'm trying to copy and how many times I can use it, meaning that the stronger the technique, the more potentially lethal body part is required. Even if she doesn't ingest a lethal portion of the target's body, I can meet the conditions by entering a binding vow, limiting the amount of uses of the technique. Yuji goes on to ask, what if they can use reverse curse technique in order to regenerate the arm that you ate off? For example, if you took Gojo's arm to use Limitless and you just restored it, what happens there? Yuta breaks this down by saying, the instant a body part is regenerated, its value within my technique becomes 0 and ceases to meet my copy's requirements. Inumaki and Kurusa's arms cannot be healed with modern medicine or reverse curse technique, so they just let me use them. And then there's Charles being mentioned as well, and it shows that Yuta has taken one of his ribs in order to use his precognition. I'm glad that Gege included this because, you know, it's showing that he's paying attention to even the little details. After this is explained, Mei asks Yuta if he heard about what Todo said when it comes to Yuji and Sukuna's resonance. Yuta confirms that he did, which is why he only wants to try this plan right before they fight Sukuna. Yuta then goes on to say that I will judge what is the minimum necessary information that we can share to Yuji and then tell him. He goes on to say that you can never be too careful, but even if Yuji and Sukuna's resonance can detect big physical changes in their body, he should not be able to tell what Yuji is thinking or the information that he has. Mei asks Yuta how he came to this conclusion, and he says that Yuji can't read Sukuna's thoughts, so it should be going both ways. He goes on to say that even if everything is in disarray after Gojo's fight with Sukuna, I don't think we'll be found out. But more than anything, I can't have Yuji having a breakdown right before he enters a fight, as this is Sukuna and all the characters need to be locked in. Yuta finally tells Yuji this, even if you can't use it right now, Sukuna's curse technique is already in your body. Gojo did confirm this with the 6 eyes. So, and then we transition back to the battle. We see Yuji's hand once more, missing 2 fingers, and Sukuna trying to cast his domain expansion, but he obviously looks messed up here. He goes on to notice that Yuji is missing 2 of his fingers, and he thinks about how Yuji could be missing 2 of his fingers. He says that I only removed his pinky when I moved to Megumi's body, but it still doesn't look like a fresh wound. And then he remembers what Yuta said to him. You weren't able to retrieve your final finger, were you? He then realizes that that quote from Yuta was a complete bluff. He didn't use my finger to copy Shrine, but he used the brats instead. And after 40 chapters, we finally see Utahime and Gakuganji again. Utahime begins to speak about Sukuna's finger, saying that it can withstand any attack, whether it's physical or Jujutsu, but can it negate a curse technique? It's a binding vow. If we stop trying to destroy it and focus on only allowing a curse technique to be activated within the finger, then maybe it could work out. But there's something else I'm just more worried about. It hasn't even been a half hour since she's woken up. And we finally see her after so long. Nobara Kugisaki has returned to the story. And she says, let's see some smiles, boys. Preparing her straw doll technique right next to the finger. And a nail imbued with her curse energy floats right above it. Nobara goes in for the swing, and Sukuna's soul is struck with tons of nails. Resonance. As Sukuna is hit by this technique, he says it's that girl. This is bad, my technique. I cannot open my domain, and the brat short hit effect is going to land at this rate. And then, Nobara makes a reference back to the Kyoto Sister School arc. She says, how's that for op, you idiot? And if you remember, this is a reference to Yuji pretending he was dead after the first arc, and then coming out of the box like nothing happened. She's basically saying the same thing that he did to her. And Yuji, realizing what just happened, smirks as a tear forms in his eyes, and he lands another one, a direct soul dismantle. But Yuji isn't done yet. He grabs Sukuna's face and knees it directly, and lands a punch right after. This causes Sukuna to throw up, but he's still in the fight. He says right after that this isn't over and retaliates with a huge gut punch to Yuji. He begins to think, saying, you think that you can flay me with this superficial domain? You haven't even been using reverse curse technique to heal your wounds. You've surpassed your limits long ago. In the vast amounts of curse energy you've used to use this domain, you're the one who's on the ropes. And Yuji and Sukuna then trade punches to the head, but Yuji manages to just barely miss Sukuna's face. However, another impact strikes Sukuna. A double impact after a time lag. The divergent fist has made its return. This throws Sukuna off balance, and he goes on to hear one last thing. Sukuna It's time we end this cycle of curses. And then we see that Yuji has finally landed one last Black Flash, ending the battle against Sukuna. So guys, this chapter again was just amazing. There are a couple of things I want to talk about before we enter the final 4 chapters of the series. First, I just want to readdress Nobara's return. Although I've already spoken about it a little bit, I just find it to be such an interesting topic because really, if you had to bet on one character never coming back, it'd be her. And she actually managed to come back. I just wonder what Gege Akutami is going to do with her character in order to conclude the story. And this segues into what I think is going to happen from here on out. I do think that Yuji and Megumi are somehow going to still pass away by the end of this arc. You know, with Yuji saying let's end this cycle of curses, this brings me back to a quote where Kenjaku said that as long as Yuji and Sukuna both exist or coexist, the cycle of curses will never end. Now Sukuna can die and like Yuji can live on and whatnot. I don't see Yuji having a happy ending. Maybe I'm just a Yuji hater because I do have a reputation for always wanting something bad to happen to him. But bro, I just can't see him walking out of this alive. The way he's been carrying himself in the last couple of chapters, it really seems as if he's committed to ending Sukuna by any means necessary. And again, Sukuna said that Yuji has not been able to recover. He's expended all of his cursed energy. He seems to be in a really bad spot. I can see him just collapsing after this fight and dying. This may be why Yuta has not been able to really do anything in the last couple of chapters either, because if he were present, he'd be able to heal Yuji, but guess what? He ain't present, and they probably won't get him to Shoko in time. Now, speaking of Yuta, I think there's a good reason why we haven't seen Yuta in the last couple of chapters, and why we're getting this full explanation of Copy, and then we're still not getting Kenjaku's ability revealed and explained, although every other ability in the series has been broken down, even Urume's, and we're not even seeing her Hakari's fight. I do really believe that there's going to be some kind of twist with Kenjaku when Yuta's curse technique returns or something of that nature. There's just no way there's not a twist with Kenjaku. Maybe I'm just coping, but come on, this has been hidden for so long and it's for good reason. Even Yuta has pointed out, like, what has Kenjaku done with his ability to where he can use it after domain expansions? The story has literally said to you, like, bro, we don't know everything about this technique and it's causing Yuta to mess up. What's going on with this technique? And you know what I'm saying? The story has brought attention to the fact that we don't know everything about it. I seriously, if I had to bet money on it, something's gonna happen here. Lastly, Hakari and Urume, the elephant in the room, we haven't gotten anything about it. There's really nothing that was gonna happen with their fight. Urume's super durable, Hakari's unkillable. You know, they're just gonna be fighting forever. Somebody has to come in and decide it. Maybe Maki did off screen. I really am gonna die laughing if we just see Hakari walk in with Urume's head or something like that after all those chapters. But who really knows? I have faith that Gege will give us a decent ending at least by the end of the series, and I can't wait to see how things unfold from here on out. With that said, if you enjoyed the review, thank you so much for watching, guys. I always appreciate the love and support, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace out.